In this video, we're going to dive into some pitching hacks, data-driven secrets, and training techniques that can rapidly elevate your pitching performance. This will be like a instructional coaching seminar. We'll explore how modern science is demystifying the art of pitching and how a few smart adjustments can yield huge results on the mound. Imagine adding a few more miles per hour to your fastball or turning a mediocre breaking ball into a strikeout weapon almost overnight. It might sound like a cheat code, but with the right approach, it's becoming reality. We'll break down cutting-edge metrics like spin efficiency, stuff plus, and pitch tunneling, and why they matter. We'll also share real-life success stories from top MLB aces to under-the-radar arms who reinvented themselves through pitch design, biomechanics, or revamped training. Whether you're a high school pitcher chasing a college scholarship, a parent trying to help your kid improve, or just a baseball fan curious about today's pitching revolution, this seminar-style video will be packed with insight. Let's jump right in and learn how modern pitchers are hacking the game to gain a winning edge. The science of pitching effectiveness. To start, let's talk about why certain pitchers are so effective in today's game. In the past, coaches relied on radar gun readings and good old-fashioned radar gun. Now we have advanced analytics that measure how pitches move and deceive the batter, not just how fast it goes. Here are a few of the key metrics redefining pitching. Spin rate versus spin efficiency. You've probably heard about spin rate, which is how many revolutions per minute a pitch makes, but raw spin alone doesn't tell you the whole story. Spin efficiency is a percentage of spin that actually contributes to the ball's movement. Think of it this way. If you're spinning the ball, but the axis is off kilter, some of that spin isn't making the ball move. It's essentially wasted. So 100% spin efficiency pitch means that all of the spin contributes to the movement. Think of a good four-seam fastball or a really good curveball. Whereas a pitch with 0% spin efficiency could be like a bullet spin slider, which can be effective, but it's important to understand how spin relates to the movement of the pitch. And this key takeaway is that useful spin matters more than total spin, except for sometimes you're designing a certain type of pitch, like we said, like a slider. But a lot of guys that struggle with high spin rates can become super nasty just by increasing spin efficiency in the right way. Stuff plus. Measuring nastiness. This is something new, and scouts often talk about a pitcher having great stuff, nasty pitchers that hitters struggle to hit even if they know it's coming. Well, analytics actually tries to quantify this with a new metric called stuff plus. This rolls up all the physical characteristics of each pitch, like velocity, movement in inches, release point, spin rate, into one number. A score of 100 is about average. Higher means nastier. Essentially, it uses machine learning to compare a pitch to thousands of others and judge how nasty it is in terms of pure physics. For example, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball with 10 inches of vertical break and good release deception will have a very high stuff plus because those traits predict a lot of swing and misses. Stuff plus ignores pitch location and focuses only on the pitch's innate quality, the filth factor. It's proven to stabilize quickly in as little as 80 pitches, according to analysts, and correlates with success because pitchers with high stuff plus grades simply have more overwhelming pitches. It's not perfect. Command still matters for sure, but it's a powerful way to identify if a pitcher has elite raw material. Organizations now use models like Stuff Plus to help with pitch design and even to scout talent beyond radar gun readings. If your Stuff Plus is low, it might suggest you need to tweak something, maybe a new grip to add movement or a mechanical change to alter your release point. Pitch tunneling. This is the next part of what we're talking about, the concept. It's a lot like deception. It's where the pitches come out in the same tunnel and the batter can't tell them apart until really it's too late. So ideally, a fastball and slider, for instance, will travel together like twins for the first 20 to 30 feet, then break in divergent ways. The hitter has to decide whether to swing when the ball is maybe halfway there. If both pitches look identical to that point, the hitter is basically guessing. The formal definition: two pitches that fly down the same trajectory long enough to look nearly identical through the point that the hitter must decide to swing. When done well, tunneling is devastating. Imagine a 95-mile-an-hour heater and an 85-mile-an-hour curveball coming out of the same tunnel, one staying straight and the other dropping off a cliff at the last second. Even the best hitters will flail or freeze because by the time the pitch reveals itself, their brain is already committed to a swing path. Modern tracking systems actually measure how far apart pitches are at the decision point, about 20 feet from home plate, and pitchers aim for a tiny gap at the decision point so everything looks basically the same, and a large gap by the plate so that there's a big divergence so that hitters are going to miss by a lot. Analytics show that tunneling was one of the most important pitch attributes, almost on par with velocity and movement. It turns good stuff into truly unhittable stuff. We're going to talk soon about how pitchers train to tunnel effectively, but keep in mind it's not just about one pitch's quality, it's about how your pitches work together as a system. The science of tunneling has given pitchers a blueprint for sequencing their repertoire in sneaky ways. Some other metrics. I'd be remiss not to mention a few other buzzwords: spin rate, like we talked about, vertical, horizontal break, pitching plus, which combines stuff plus location. There's also stuff like release extension, vertical approach angle. All these help explain why a 92-mile-an-hour fastball from one guy gets crushed, while a 92 from another guy seems to explode past bats, almost an invisible fastball. The big picture is modern analytics have given us tools to measure the quality of pitches in great detail. As a pitcher, understanding these metrics can help you focus on what to improve. If your curveball has great spin but not great movement, maybe work on spin efficiency. If your pitches are nasty but you still get hit, maybe work on tunneling or sequencing differently. The numbers point us to the adjustments that can yield quick results. How pitchers are improving and how they're making their adjustments. Now that we know what makes pitches effective, how do pitchers actually get better? The good news is that it's not just lab talk. Players are using this science to fuel very practical training methods. Here are some key ways pitchers today are transforming their game. High-tech pitch design. In the last few years, the bullpen has become part of a science lab. Devices like the Rapsodo and TrackMan units set on the ground act like super radar guns, measuring not just velocity, but also spin rate, spin access, and movement on each throw. The instant feedback is a game changer. For example, a pitcher can throw a new grip slider and immediately see it had 2,400 RPM, 30% spin efficiency, broke 8 inches horizontally, for example. If that's not the desired result, he tweaks the grip or wrist angle on the next throw and checks the numbers again. This trial and error process, guided by data, is what we call pitch design. Instead of just guessing what a grip change did, the pitcher gets objective feedback in real time. Rapsodo even shows the spin axis, which tells you why the pitch moved the way it did. Along with that, high-speed cameras like Edgertronic, or actually now the newer iPhones are so good with slow motion, you can really see on those as well. You can literally watch in slow-mo to see if the fingers are imparting pure backspin or something else. This helps pitchers make very precise adjustments like shifting finger pressure or seam orientation to get the ideal spin axis. Using this tech, pitchers can design a pitch to have certain movement. Say you want a slider that breaks a bit more horizontally to distinguish it from your curveball. You tinker until the numbers show the added sweep. This process has led to the creation of new pitch variants. So, for example, the sweeper is basically a slider with extra horizontal break that many pitchers have developed. And so, for example, a sweeper moves 15 inches horizontally on average, whereas a slider is only about 7 or 8 inches of horizontal movement. And that's because of pitch design. So an active 50% on a cutter spin efficiency will result in about 6 inches more rise than a pitch with different spin efficiency, for example. And this is how guys are able to adjust their pitches. Smart mechanical adjustments. Mechanics are still the foundation of pitching, and modern training tools uses both new school tech and old skill drills to improve them. One of the most dramatic ways a pitcher can improve is by cleaning up inefficiencies in their delivery. Sometimes a small tweak in mechanics can unlock several extra miles per hour or better command almost instantly. For instance, reducing a pitcher's arm swing in the back can lead to more repeatable release and even more of a velocity bump. A great case, Lucas Giolito, who we'll discuss later, drastically shortened his arm action in one offseason, going from a long, loopy arm swing to a more compact motion. The result? He found the strike zone more often and added a tick of velocity, transforming from one of the worst ERAs in the league to an all-star in the span of 1 year. How do pitchers figure out these adjustments? Increasingly with the help of biomechanical analysis, which we'll cover in its own section, and tools like the core velocity belt, a training device that Giolito used that helped teach the body to move more efficiently. The core velocity belt, for example, provides resistance to force the pitcher to use their hips and core in sync. Giolito credited that device for helping him feel a better lower body drive. Other pitchers use things like balance boards, specialized plyometric drills, or even virtual reality to work on delivery consistently. The focus is often on achieving a better kinetic chain, using the legs and torso to generate power, and timing the arm to lag and whip through, and we call that using the body, not the arm. One common adjustment is stride length and direction. Another is hip rotation or hip-shoulder separation. And so coaches, because of slow motion cameras, were able to really diagnose exactly what the issues are. Another thing people are doing is weighted ball training. That's becoming more and more common. Different long toss techniques, different finger pressures. Another big thing that people don't talk about is the mental training. This is all stuff that's newer and guided by science, trial, and error. One pitcher, for example, went from mid-80s to low 90s on his fastball in a single offseason just using some of these different methods. Garrett Cole, we're going to give a really good example from the Houston Astros. He used to be a sinker guy when he was with the Pirates, and then he learned about how to use his four-seam fastball. He actually learned from Verlander, and he was able to gain 300 RPM and became basically one of, if not the best pitcher in all of baseball simply by doing this. Pitchers improve through a combination of better training tools, mechanical optimization, and strategy changes. It's a holistic process. You get your body in peak condition, use tech to sharpen each pitch, and deploy those pitches in the smartest way. And when all those elements come together, the performance jump can be stunning, as we'll see in just a following few success stories. So Garrett Cole, we already talked about, had an incredible transformation. He almost completely ditched his sinker. He used to throw it 18% of the time, and now it's basically zero. Lucas Giolito, we talked about a little bit before. He, in 2018, with a young pitcher from the White Sox, he had an ERA of 6.13, one of the worst of anybody. And then he made some changes, gained a couple miles an hour on his fastball, and became one of the best pitchers in baseball. On the mental side, Giolito talks about he underwent a mindset transformation. He did a neurofeedback program to train his brain for better focus and calmness, and worked on breathing and confidence. And he dropped his ERA down to a 3.41, which is one of the best in baseball. Burns, a pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, Corbin Burns, provides a great example of using pitch design. Again, one of the worst pitchers, 8.82 ERA, absolutely terrible. And then he made some changes. He went from throwing a lot of four-seam fastballs to almost completely ditching it to throwing his cutter a ton of the time. And then his cutter became an actually close to unhittable pitch. And that's because his fastball was in the dead zone. And that's something that we can talk about in another video, but that's basically what's considered a flat fastball. And he dropped his ERA down to 2.11 and became one of the absolute best pitchers in baseball. There's so many examples like this, but in this video I wanted to give you guys an idea of how modern pitchers are becoming unhittable.